This video is about DNA indicator number 1. DNA stands for, is the market price depreciating? Is it neutral? Or is it appreciating? And as we go into this, is it, for example, depreciating significantly or just moderately, or appreciating significantly or moderately? I'm curious, when you look at a report like this that shows that there are a total of, up here to the top left, you can see there's a total of 31 properties that have for sale signs in front of them in this metro area. Doesn't really matter if this is the Midwest or any place in the United States. If we have 31 properties that are on the market, is that a good or bad marketplace? In other words, is it depreciating or appreciating? Or is it neutral? As we look at this list, we can see the A stands for active. As we go down further, we can see that there are 2 of the 31 that are under contract. My question for you, if I'm a buyer sitting in your office with you, and I ask you, is this a good market or a bad market? Because the newspapers have been telling me the marketplace has been recovering. Because we've seen that in some parts of the United States, that the papers are saying everything is great. We're going to see 6.5% appreciation. I live in the Midwest as I record this video, and it's predicting around 6.5% growth rate in our region. However, when the papers put that out, they're not talking about specific price points or geographical areas. They're just broad brushing kind of the whole area, and everybody who reads that, buyers and sellers and realtors and lenders and everybody in the industry, they realize that housing all of a sudden could be a wise decision again. However, when you look at a report like this and you see 29 that are for sale and you see 2 under contract, if a buyer were sitting in front of you and they asked the question, is that area stabilized? Or you're at a listing interview and the seller lives in a quadrant like this and they want to overprice their property. Do they think the property area in this area is appreciating? Because that's what the newspapers are saying. In reality, when we look at this 29 that are for sale, only 2 under contract, let's call that, if you will, about a 15-to-1 ratio. There's 15 sellers available to every 1 buyer that's under contract. If you were a consumer and you were buying in a marketplace like this, what would you take a read on that? Is that a good market or not so good marketplace? The worst I ever experienced in the Midwest was when there were 53 houses for sale, active, in a price point, in a similar area, and only 1 property under contract. That was a free fall marketplace. The seller in this particular story had $2.3 million into their property and went with a realtor for the first year, another realtor for the next half year, and then finally came to us and we sold the property for about $1.2 million. And the challenge with that seller was they were really in denial that their property had depreciated as rapidly as I was predicting. He thought I was wrong. In the end, we were not wrong because the DNA indicator, this is DNA indicator number 1, and I'm going to share with you all of these for your buyer or your seller presentation. If you're looking to differentiate yourself from other presenters, we hope that these DNA indicators will assist you in sharing with the buyer that you are concerned about their property as an investment, because if you look at the NAR ads, the National Association of Realtors, they talk about a property being one of our largest investments they'll ever make in their lives. And you should be trusting a realtor to assist you in this process. So in this process, if we look back over the 6, 7, 8 years of depreciation we just went through, in some areas of the country we're still having it. They're not even close to being out of the woods in some places. So if you're trying to differentiate and follow what NAR talks about, this is one of the largest investments, should we have learned something from the marketplace of all the depreciation? There's so much historical information that every office and every brand should have some insight and some training into what I call these DNA indicators. Imagine a seller interviewing 2 or 3 realtors from the same office, and they saw this report. They can see that there's properties for sale in the area in a similar price point that they are. And the seller says, well, there's 29 for sale in the area. and there's 2 under contract, and they ask an agent with a company, what does that mean? Are we depreciating? Are we neutral or appreciating? Or a buyer would ask the question. 3 hours later, they interview another realtor from the same brand. What would that realtor say? After all, we are from the same company. Is 2 properties under contract and 29 for sale depreciating a neutral or appreciating marketplace? Just for the fun of it, on occasion I go to open house and talk to realtors, and I ask them a series of questions. They don't know who I am or what my background is, but just for the fun of it, I go through and I ask questions like this. I noticed that there's a lot of houses for sale in the area. Can I ask you, are we appreciating yet, or is it depreciating? If you want to have some fun, I recommend you go out to talk to other realtors and just ask the question. Even more fun, then go to another open house with the same brand and see if the answer is consistent. There's a consistent marketing presentation manual, but generally it's very inconsistent when it comes to interpreting the marketplace. After all, this is the most important part of what we can offer people. Shouldn't we have some kind of consistency, brand by brand, to say if we're in a marketplace with this kind of inventory supply or demand, that each person is getting the information from management or gathering it from their MLS, whatever it is, to help interpret the marketplace? The question is that even important any longer to consumers if they buy right? In the past, they could always purchase a property and it just assumed it would go up in value. We never heard of properties depreciating except under rare circumstances. Now the United States has been through a hurricane wiping out people's revenue that took years and years to build, and 10 years of growth in some areas. It's just gone. Their equity, all the capital improvements they've ever done to their property, of course, they're gone. Down payment, everything is gone. And they hear the marketplace is now appreciating. We are years and years and years away from some of those people ever getting back to what they paid for on the property. The kind of growth that's needed per year is in the minimum double digits per year to even look back at getting at the numbers that they had. This presentation will actually help you with buyers and sellers understand how long it will take the marketplace to recover back to somebody's price. Again, when you're looking with a home buyer, they're going to see what a prior person paid for a property, because I'm sure that's what you would want if you were a buyer, and you're going to supply that to them. And if a seller's listing a property, it's important they understand about appreciation. We'll get into that in another video. However, as we leave this video, the next one I'm going to share with you is the actual presentation we're going to make in front of a consumer. We're going to use this particular supply and demand. But what I want to emphasize is, in your brand or your particular practice, what would you say in a marketplace where there's a 15-to-1 ratio? Or if there were 15 for sale and 40 under contract in the corridor, what would you say? Is it appreciating? I would think so. But is this appreciating moderately or significantly? And what would your brand say? What would your manager say? Okay, thanks for watching.